In this section, I'm going to speak about fillet, or what you call it, corner in Catia, and then speak about chamfer. So let's start with fillet or corner. If I go to insert, go to operations, I can find corner here. And you can see by clicking on that, the corner sketch tools is going to be activated. It tells me you can find a common point, like this point in the corner of the rectangle, or click on two lines. Most of the time I click on two lines specifically because when I click on two lines, the order of selection is very important, and I'm going to show you in a minute why. So let's start with this corner point. If I click on that, you can see that it gives me the ability to create a fillet here. I can do it on the other way, and it assumes that I am doing it in the extension of the lines, but right now it doesn't really make sense. So I go here, and you can see the radius is provided in the sketch tools, or I can provide it by just clicking somewhere else. So I click on that, and because the dimensional constraints was enabled, I can see the dimension here, and if I want to change it, I just double click on that and change it. For example, it should be 20 millimeters, and I make it 20 millimeters. Something that is very important to notice is this. You see these tangencies here? They are there because this corner is going to be tangent to the lines, and also the extra parts of the line after the tangency is trimmed. So it is very important to note. I'm going to select this command one more time, and this time you can see that I'm going to select the first element to be trimmed. So I click on that, and this means that when I am clicking on this line first, the extra part of this is going to be trimmed, but the second line is not. So I'm going to select this one first and select this one second, and you see this here. So I click on that, and you can see the first part is trimmed, but the second part is not trimmed. I double click on that to make it about 20, and you can see that it is created for me. I can activate this command, and you can see the rest of them are very easy. This one trims nothing, so if I click on that and go, let's say for example here and here, it doesn't trim anything. And the last one doesn't, does trim of course, but it replaces the extension with some construction lines. For example, I select this one, and then this is the trim, and you can see that the rest of it is replaced with construction line. But you can see that the extension of the line after the intersection is trimmed. And the final one, if I click on that, and I'm going to select these two, you can see that the extension is not trimmed. All of the parts are going to change to construction line, but the extension is not trimmed. So this is how you create a fillet. And I'm going to show you a chamfer too. So if I go to chamfer command, I can find it on the right toolbar, or I can go to insert, operations, and find chamfer here. Again, the same options are here. I'm going to show you in a second how. So again, I click on the first one, and when I click the first line and the second line, something that is very important is present in the sketch toolbars. You should notice that angle can be changed. So if I want to have a 45-degree angle, that's okay, but if I want to have, let's say, a 30-degree angle, I can do that as well. So I type 30 and press enter, and you can see that 30-degree angle is created for me, and this 30-degree angle is going to be applied to the first line that I selected, not the second line. So this is why I tell you the order of selection sometimes is very important. So I prefer to have this. You can see that the extra part is trimmed, and of course the rest of the commands are the same as what we had in fillet, with one difference, and that's creating chamfer instead of fillet. Now I'm going to show you the trim command, and that is very important command. Again, I'm going to deactivate this command, and I go to insert, operations, and select trimming. Under limitations, we have many types of trim. The first one is a quick trim, and this is the most important one. I mean, most of the time you go for this type of trim. So I select this, and you can see that it has three options in the sketch tools. The first one says break and rubber in. So this is the default one. If I go here, you can see that I can click here and it will break the line from the first intersection that it finds and cuts it. So I click on that, you can see that it breaks from the first intersection. I can do the same thing here. So let me activate the command one more time, and for this I'm going to go to the limitations, select quick trim, and you can see that it trims it. Now if it was something inside, what would happen? I'm going to press Ctrl Z to deactivate what I did before and go to operations one more time, and this time I'm going to go inside. You can see that if I click on that, it will find the nearest intersections and it will cut the part inside those intersections. And the next type of trim, the next type of quick trim, as a matter of fact, is break and rubber out. So let's click on this, and I say that I'm going to go and click on this line, but I don't want to delete the inner part. I want to delete the outer part. So I'm selecting the inner part to stay in there. So I click on that, and you can see that extra parts after the intersections are going to be deleted. And this one is very interesting. And the final part is break and keep everything. I'm going to select this one, and when I click on this line, it just breaks the line from the places that I have intersections. So I click here, and now you can see that this is one line and this is another line. It doesn't trim anything, but it just keeps everything. It breaks from the intersections. So I press Ctrl Z to go back to where I was, and I'm going to show you other types of trim. So if I go to operations, row limitations, I have a normal trim, and it says I can have trim all elements, or I can have trim first element. I prefer to have the first one right here. I say I am going to trim this line, so I click on this line from this cutting edge, and you can see that by selecting the cutting edge I can trim it. And if I click on that, you can see that it trims everything from the cutting edge. You see that? I press Ctrl Z, and I'm going to select the command one more time. So in limitation trim, this time I'm going to go inside, and you can see that by clicking here and then selecting this cutting edge, as a matter of fact, I'm trimming everything. So you see that we see some unexpected results. Sometimes you don't want to have this, so I press Ctrl Z and I go and select this one, trim first element. So this is better because we have more control over what we are doing. I'm going to select this line, and I say that this is my cutting edge, so I click here, and you can see that the extra part of it is going to be trimmed. And I can activate it again and again and do the same thing here. Let's go to other type of trimmings, and this one is break. Breaking is something interesting. Sometimes I want to break a line in parts from the intersections that I see. So let's click on that. We have this line that starts from here and ends here, but I want to cut it into three pieces. One piece should be here, one piece in between these two intersections, and one piece in the other side. So I just select break and then click on this line, and you can see that it breaks everything. It says what is the break point. So I can select this point first, and you can see that by selecting the break point, the break is going to do its operation. So I'm going to press Ctrl Z multiple times to go to the previous condition, and I'm going to select break one more time. So this time again I'm going to select this, and you can see it tells me that breakpoint can be in a specific horizontal or vertical coordination. I can do that, but sometimes I prefer to select the intersection, so I break this from intersections, and I can decide what to do with these pieces that I already have here. So again I press Ctrl Z, and next command that I'm going to speak about is close arc. This one is interesting. So if I click on that, it tells me select a curve type element. Right now I have this curve here, I have another curve in here, I select this one, and you see that it closes the arc, it fills the arc for me. And the final one is a complement command. So if I click on that, it says select a circle or elliptic arc. This time I'm going to select this one, and you can see it is going to create a complement of that, and the actual arc is going to be deleted. So this command does this for us.